Take two. Oh my goodness, this actually might be take 200 because I'm sitting here at home. I said that I would be okay with doing the live stream from my house because today's my day off. Yeah, I've had several mishaps. Facebook stopped allowing you to use other ways to go live stream in your groups, and I just found out about this today for some reason. And so here I was, I thought I had set up everything fine this morning. I had everything set up and I scheduled it, and I had it all ready to go. And then I went into my live stream software that I use for YouTube, and well, what do you know? It doesn't work. So it was so funny. Anyway, because there's so much going on right now, in Littleton, they were having kids camp, and in Thornton, they're doing the introduction of the new Bernina 990. So even though it was my day off, I said, you know what? I don't mind for an hour going live from my house. I mean, I've got all the equipment. There's no reason why I can't do it. And yeah, so I went to what I had set up, and I could not get that thing to work. Like, I couldn't get anything to work. And so that's why now I've switched it over to my phone, which we're used to doing. And I'm just going to go, I'm going to wing it somehow. I'll figure it out. The only problem is going to be that once I turn the camera around and I start sewing for you guys, I won't be able to see the comments. I'm trying to see if I can get everything to load up on the Facebook page on my computer. It's going to lag, right? So there's going to be some lag. I'm not going to be able to see things in real time. Okay, so I'll be a little bit behind, but not too much. And I'm going to see if I can't watch the comments. Give me 1 second. It might go crazy right now. Okay, I think that I'm going to be able to see some comments. And Donna, I am in a lovely dress. See? Whoop. I think I've worn it in the shop before. Not sure. But I'm down in my basement. The basement of my house is my domain. My husband gets the garage. So I did put up this lovely curtain so that you wouldn't see all my crazy, because I don't want that to happen. But I am, oh, Amanda. Hi, Amanda. Okay, so Amanda is going to be watching the comments. The only thing is going to be that if I don't see it, I won't be able to answer any questions. But if I see it, I'm going to do my best, you guys, but I'm going to be sewing at the same time. And I think that we're going to be fine. I am not affected by the fires. I did hear that there were some fires going on in Colorado somewhere, but it wasn't me. I'm sorry, Susan, about you finding it or having a difficulty finding the live. Listen, I was trying to set it up in advance so that you guys would know it was coming, and then it didn't happen. So I apologize that didn't work. I didn't know that I was going to have to try to do all of this. So let's just sew, okay? That's what we're here for. We're here for sewing. I'm going to be working on the Spooky Sampler, and I am doing some FPP on the Scaredy Cat, or is it the Fraidy Cat? I think I put Scaredy Cat in the notes, but I think it's actually called Fraidy Cat. So apologies for that. It's a Fraidy Cat. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I am going to turn the camera around, because the other camera might be better. well, you know what? Let's try to work with it. Okay, so nobody gets sick. Please don't get sick. I am going to lower the camera. Let me try to fix that. And then lower this. And then let's see what we see over here. Well, now you're going to see my long arm and my sweater's on it. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, you know, there's worse things you could be seeing. So let's not worry about it. There's my sewing machine. I have a Baby Lock Crescendo. I actually have a whole lot of Baby Locks. I'm going to move my keyboard out of the way. And I'm going to move my mouse out of the way. All right, and so you can see I've got a little part of my cutting that you can see. I'm gonna try to work within that area. All right, so that you guys can see everything. And yes, I'm making every mistake I possibly can today, Renee. That's what I'm working on. Okay, so now I am going to make room over here. And now, can you guys can't see here, that's Jelly Bean. So if you hear people talking about Jelly Bean, Mr. JB, that's one of my cats. I have 4 cats. But I'm going to go ahead and get started sewing. Okay, so I did prep my fabric. In other words, I have my templates cut. And I have all of my fabric in the order in which it's going to be put on my piece. So I'm ready to go. I have written in all the different fabrics that I'm going to use on those pieces. So you can see that those are my notes. That's how I make notes for what I'm doing. Okay, so let's get going. I'm just going to get sewing. You guys, there's stuff that's going on, in the shop and both in Thornton and in Littleton. Today in Littleton, they are, they had kids camp, and in Thornton, they are, it's not hot yet. I just turned my iron on. So here we go. And in Thornton, they are going to be introducing the Bernina 990 today. So that's why I agreed, even though it's my day off, to come on and sit with you guys and sew for the live stream. We contemplated canceling it or, you know, doing something like that. But I thought, you know, it's only an hour and I want to sew anyway. So why not? Let's do it. Okay, so let me just I'm just kind of getting a little bit of the wrinkles out of the fabric that I cut. Just a tiny bit. And I am using my brand new Tula Pink Aliso iron. I love it. And this one looks okay. All right, so I'm going to take my piece number 1, which is my black with sprinkles. I'm going to move it to the back. I am going to hold it there, and I can see it's covering the whole area, so I know my spaces are covered. I'm going to take my number 2 fabric and I'm going to move it pretty side facing me to the back of the template, and I'm just going to make sure. Now what I'm going to do, just to show you guys again, just so I can show you as many times as possible, if I wanted to make sure that I was exactly where I wanted everything to be, and I wanted to make sure that that fabric was covering it, I'm going to use the flat side of my Add a Quarter Plus to fold the paper back, and I can take either a friction pin or a regular pin, it doesn't matter because you're going to be drawing it right on your thing. I can see where the lines are in that. And so I want to make sure that the piece that I'm adding to the back is going to cover that piece, right? So I'm going to move it to the back, and I will just hold it right over where I want it to cover. And I can see it because I'm just moving that fabric. I'm moving the whole thing around, and I can see exactly where everything is. Once it's exactly where I want it to be, I'm just going to fold the paper back over, and I'm going to sew that that seam line right there. Now I have not, and I do have an open toe foot. I am using my digital dual feed. If you don't have one, you can totally order one. They are great. And I do have an open toe foot on my digital dual feed. I'm going to lower the stitch length down to 1.4. I'm going to use my hand wheel to lower the needle exactly where I want it. And here we go. And I don't think I have my, there we go. Okay, here we go. And then I'm going to come over. I'm going to fold that paper back on the line that I just sewed on that seam. I'm going to use my add a quarter ruler to trim the excess fabric. I don't think I changed my needle or my rotary blade. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I like to keep a whole bunch of rotary blades on hand. I'm going to go ahead and change it since I need to. So I buy a 10 pack. So that's what I do. And then I take an old one and I write used on it. There's a whole bunch of different ways that you could keep your, and then I keep these because I will use the old ones to cut paper. So if I am cutting paper for my FPP, I will just take one of these old blades and I'll put it back on my rotary cutter while I'm doing that, and then I can switch back whenever I'm done. But they're still good. You can still use them, especially for FPP. And that's what I do. So I just carefully take one out, and they kind of stick together. So you want to make sure you're only getting one. I remember one time I actually put two on, and you can totally tell it was cutting my fabric like so weirdly. Oh my goodness. And I was like, well, that's not fun. Okay, so Olfa rotary cutters are so easy to change the blade. I just absolutely love them. You don't have to unscrew parts and all of that kind of stuff. So that's my go-to. And now I'm just going to head on over, and I'm just going to give that a quick press. And I think you guys can see this little part over here of me pressing. You would have had, it's okay, baby. You would have had more of a view if I could have gotten everything to work, but oh well. No worries. And even though I'm at home, I still use my magic juice. I love this stuff. I buy it like in bulk. So I'm going to use that. All right, and now I'm going to add my next piece. Now, let me explain. On the pattern, I have broken this down into 3 pieces. I did that so that if you're new, you won't have to try to get these angles all figured out, okay? You can just put this little piece on, and then you can put the square on, and then you can put this little triangle on, and it'll be much easier than trying to put this one big piece on. But you can make this into one piece if you want to. All right. Now, so that's what I did, just so that I can show you that it is possible. So I cut one big piece, and just like I did for up here, where I was trying to make sure that my fabric was going to cover the piece that it needed to cover, I'm going to do the same thing right here, okay? So I'm going to take my add a quarter plus, and I'm going to use this flat edge over here. I'm going to put it down on that seam that I'm about to sew, the one that I want to sew. I'm going to fold that back. And then I'm going to take this piece, and now all I need to know is how far down I've got to go, right? So I'm going to mark this triangle piece right here because I know I need to cover that, and then it just goes all the way back to that other part. So I know that this part here is what I need to cover. So I'm going to take my fabric and I'm going to put it right sides or pretty side toward me. I'm going to move it to the back of the template, and then I'm going to let it hang back there. And that's what I want to cover, is this piece right here. This little, I think you call that a, what do you call that? Parallelogram? I'm not sure. But anyway, so I know that my fabric on the back is covering that whole piece. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to unfold it, and I'm going to sew right on that line, and I know it's going to cover what I need, okay? Okay, so then I'm going to come over, I'm going to fold back again on that same line, and I'm going to trim my excess fabric. Oh yeah, now we're cooking with grease. Now, if you like keeping your little scraps, you can go ahead and keep those. All right, so I'm going to set those over there. Let me give this a quick little press because I can tell it's wrinkled. That's my next piece. Okay, and then I'm going to go over to the ironing board and see how funky that looks. But when I fold it down, it's going to cover my parallelogram, or whatever we're calling that. Okay. All right, so I'm going to just give that a nice press down. Give it some old magic juice. I sure do wish Elaine were here. Boy, that would be fun, huh? Me and Elaine at my house? Holy cow. That would be fun. Can have Celeste come over. She'd probably be over there on the long arm. Okay, so then I got just one more piece, and it's this guy down here. And so that's another piece that we have to worry about it covering exactly. It's sort of like what I like to call, you know, those funky triangles. Because those funky triangles, those are the ones that give everyone grief, right? Okay, so I am going to take my add a quarter plus, and I'm going to use the flat edge side again. I'm going to lay it down on that seam. Spam calls, y'all. How many spam calls do y'all get in a day? Oh my goodness. They're nuts over here. Okay. So now I'm just going to, and you can just hang it down, because now we know it's going all the way down for the rest of the piece that I've got. But I just you can kind of get an idea of where you're going to want it to hang. So I'm going to take this next piece, and I'm going to move it. I'm going to turn it right side, pretty side toward me. And then I'm going to move it to the back of the template. And I'm going to let it hang back there. And you want to make sure it's covering that whole piece. I'm going to pull it down a little bit. And you can see, boom, there you go. It's got a little piece around all three sides. And then at the top, there's definitely a piece too, right? So that's totally covered. All right. So then I'm just going to pull this up, and I'm going to sew my seam line. And don't move anything. Keep it just like you had it. And you will be just fine. I feel like you guys being in my sewing room, you're kind of maybe getting a little bit more information about me. You know, like I'm the kind of girl who puts a bunch of stickers all over my sewing machine, and I don't clean up my messes. Of course, Elaine already knows that. All right, so now I'm just going to press that piece. put on a little bit of magic juice. You know what I didn't think to do was, I didn't think to put my microphone on. I sure hope you guys can hear me. Okay, so now I am going to take my piece and I'm just gonna do all of my trimming around the edges. Because I like to, I leave a little bit of extra around all the edges so that I can trim up. I find that it makes everything look a lot smoother and cleaner once you're ready to put them together. So that's what and you know, everything that I do has been a work in progress. I am a work in progress. I find new ways to do something, or I discover something that helps me, and then I try to pass it along to other people who are interested in FPP or other things. Some tips that I have are just for regular piecing, not always FPP. And so there we go. It is ready, and this is my Y piece. So I'm going to put that to the side for whenever I'm ready to put all of my pieces together. All right. All right, now I'm going to move on to this next one. Let's do this one. This one looks fun. This one is the kitty cat head. So I have all of my pieces labeled with what fabric I'm using. Oh, good. Everyone can hear me. Okay, perfect. Because I didn't even think about that. You give this a quick little press. There's one little wrinkle in there. All right, so I'm going to hold that piece pretty side away from me. And I'm going to move it to the back of the template. So it's pretty side away from me, because that's the pretty side. And I'm going to move it to the back of the template. Make sure that it's covering at least 1/4 of an inch around all sides. Okay. And now I'm going to take number 2 and I'm going to turn that to the top. And I'm going to take my fabric piece, number 2. I'm going to hold it pretty side facing me. I'm going to move it to the back of the template. And I just want to make sure it is at least 1/4 of an inch above the line I'm going to sew. Now I can see it. You probably can't see it in the camera. I apologize for that. But if you were at home and you held this up in front of either a window with bright sunshine or a spotlight of some kind behind you, either, I mean, it can be anything that's going to put bright light behind you, you would see that. Okay. Now I'm just going to sew across that line. That is my seam line. Make sure my fabric hasn't moved, and it has not. Now this, I'm starting right at an exact point, and I like to call this sort of an area a landlocked area. So I'm going to take one stitch, and then I'm going to do a back stitch. I normally don't do back stitches unless it's a landlocked piece, because your stitch length is so short, it's probably not going to come out. In fact, I probably don't even have to do a locking stitch here, but I do just for peace of mind. Okay, so now I am going to fold the paper back on that seam I just sewed. I'm going to use my add 1/4 plus to trim away the excess fabric. And now I'm going to press that seam. And you know, I am very used to having to press seams around a cat. So don't worry, I'm good over here. And he's so used to it, he don't budge. He's like, yep. If you have cats, heck, your dogs probably do the same thing. They get so used to this and they just lay there like, yep, I'm not moving. I'm fine. I'm very comfy right here. Okay, now my next piece is number 3. So I'm going to turn number 3 to the top. I'm going to take my next piece of fabric. I'm going to hold it pretty side facing me. I'm going to move it to the back of the template. And I'm just going to make sure. This is what I do. I do this little twisty thing where I look both sides and I can see. It is perfect. It's exactly where I want it to be. So I'm going to lay it down and make that, stitch that seam. Again, in this particular case, both sides are landlocked. So I'm going to take one stitch, lock it with a back stitch. I'm going to go down to the end. I'm going to sew right into that until I hit that edge. And I'm going to take a locking back stitch. I'm going to fold the paper back on that seam and trim. Then I'm going to press. Put a little magic juice on there. Okay, and then the next piece is number 4, which is the main part of the kitty cat head. So I'm going to turn number 4 to the top. And I'm going to make sure I'm holding this the right way because it's longer, or it's wider than it is tall. So I want to make sure I'm holding my fabric on properly. Now I'm going to take it, turn it pretty side toward me. Oh, Patty, I am looking at a little bit. So Patty, this is a dual digital feed foot. It's not, I mean, it does the same job as a walking foot, but it's not technically a walking foot as in what you would put on just to do quilting. So it will pull the fabric along on the top and so it aids your feed dogs in that way. It's just a smoother system for pulling your fabric through. And I love it. I leave it on all the time. And you can leave it on all the time. And yes, I do cut my fabric before I start, Patty. I do all of the prep before I start sewing anything. That way I can just keep sewing. And I just cut my fabric in the order in which I'm going to be sewing it on. I make a pile in that order, and then when I'm ready, I just flip it over and I pull one piece at a time and I put them on. So that's what I do. Okay, so I'm going to hold this pretty side facing me. I'm going to move it to the back of the template, and I'm going to let it hang down from this line right here, which is my next seam allowance. And I'm going to make sure that I'm going to cover everything with a 1/4 inch on all sides. I'm ready to sew. Here we go. I'm going to back stitch. And I'm going to trim. press. Okay, so here's where I am now. I'm ready for number 5, which is down over here. So I'm going to turn number 5 to the top. I'm going to take my next fabric and I'm going to be placing it right there in that corner. And I cut it into a square, so I know that it's going to cover, but let's say you wanted to test that and make sure it was going to land where you wanted it to. You would, again, take your add a quarter plus. You want to use that thinner side, lay it down on that seam line you're about to sew. Fold your paper back. You can draw that out, which it's going to go to about right there. So that's where I want it to cover. And look, I'm playing this pretty loose and free, guys, because it's, you know, you don't have to be exact, right? But then I'm going to move it to the back of the template, and I'm going to make sure that it's covering that area. I want the fabric to cover that area. Okay. I think my cat is snoring. Okay, so I'm going to unfold that and sew that stitch line. And now I'm going to trim. And press. So basically that's what I do. I sew, trim, and press. Sew, trim, and press. Put a little of that magic juice on there so it can lay flat. I tell you what, I love how this thing has a little headlight. Because if you have like less light in your room, which I have a ton of lights on right now, but boy, it's like I can see exactly where I'm going. Who would have thought to put a headlight on an iron? Okay, now I am going to take this next piece and I'm going to do the same thing. So number 6 is going to go to the top. I'm going to fold that back with that thinner side of the add a quarter plus. I will draw that on. I can see where it is. Boop, boop. All right, so I just got to cover that little part right there. What did I do with the fabric? Oh, there it is. It's under my pen. And I'm just going to make sure it's going to cover the whole thing. And also have a 1/4 of an inch around. And that looks really good. Looks like I got it. Okay, so now just going to sew that down. This side is landlocked, so I'm going to do a locking stitch. and press. Jelly Bean, it is a good thing I love you, baby. Make this a little bit more difficult, I'm telling you what. It's that added challenge, I guess you would say. Oh, gosh. Okay, now we've just got one more piece, and that is the A7 right here. And I have that cut here. So I'm going to turn number 7 to the top. And I'm going to take the fabric, I'm going to hold it pretty side toward me. I'm going to move it to the back of the template, and then just hold it a 1/4 inch above the line, which you'll be able to see. You can't see on the camera right now, but I can see it with all of these bright lights around. I can see it. And here we go. Okay, now I'm just going to fold that back and trim it. And I do have a longer ruler, but right now I just have my smaller one out. And I'm just going to show you how, if you take the lip of it, just go beyond the bottom, get a start. You can always pause, slide it along the paper there, and then finish your cut. Okay, now I am just going to trim it down. I was going off the edge of my cutting mat there. Okay. Okay, so there it is. It's going to look much better once it's all put together, of course. And then I have one more piece that I can work on with you before we are done. And that one is this very simple piece right here. So I'm going to give these a quick press. Okay. So I'm going to take the first piece. I'm just going to hold it on. Oh, it's the black one that goes first. So here we go. I'm just going to put it right side away from me, pretty side away from me. I'm going to put my piece here. Make sure it covers all the way around with 1/4 inch, at least around the edges. And then number 2, I'm going to turn that toward the top. And I didn't trim this piece, I just took it. I'm going to take it, I'm going to move it to the back of the template. And I'm going to sew that seam line right there. I'm going to do 1 locking stitch. Then I'm going to fold back on that seam line, lay down my ruler and trim. And press. A little bit of magic juice here. And whoop, it ended up falling over here. 1 last piece, and that's this top piece. I'm going to put the Z3 to the top. I'm going to hold the fabric pretty side to me, and I'm going to move it to the back of the template. And I'm going to sew on that seam line. I'm going to fold back on that seam and trim off all this excess. And press. Okay, now I'm just going to give it that final trim. Okay. So these are the pieces that we finished today. We've got the Z piece. This is the double A piece and the Y piece. And I am going to, hold on, I'll fix all of this. Woo. Because we're almost done. It's almost been an hour. Can you believe? Can't believe we've already been talking for an hour. Okay. So we're done for today. I hope that you enjoyed that. And I really love doing foundation paper piecing. It's my fave. It's my jam. I love doing it. I love teaching it. And if you have any questions and you're in the Littleton area, please feel free to come and talk to me anytime. If you have any questions about FPP or you know, whatever, I guess you can come and talk to us about all kinds of sewing. We have lots of specials that are going on right now in Littleton and in Thornton, between the cabinets that we have on sale, and we have that absolutely gorgeous Bernina 990. You got to come in and get a demo today. We have them in the stores and we're ready to show you guys all it can do. So we're really excited about that. And we will see you tomorrow. Thank you so much for sewing with me. And thanks for your patience in the beginning. So bye, you guys.